The Snyderverse, a critically acclaimed story by DC fans, and although the general audience didn't really care about the Snyderverse and just cared about the current continuity, fans are consistent in saying that the Snyderverse is perfect, even if they pan Batman v Superman upon release. They feel the need to shove it in your face and make it clear what they want. Henry Cavill, we want Henry Cavill. Ben Affleck, if you recast him, we will kill you. And although I'm glad that they brought back Superman, I don't understand why they couldn't recast Ben Affleck's Batman. So this got me thinking. With the James Gunn, how are they going to reach Snyderverse fans and put DC back on the map with a new canon? Are they going to keep the Snyderverse, or are they going to reset it and make a new path forward? So I decided to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League and put my own opinion on it. I'm seeing this movie for the first time since it came out, and I wasn't really paying attention when it came out. I liked it back then, but I didn't think much about it for the entire time after I watched it, until what I just mentioned. After watching it, I think it's very, very good. And critically, I loved it, right? The camera shots, Zack Snyder's style, the VFX, the characters, and the action scenes are amazing. Even the effects are like leagues ahead of Marvel. But looking at it from a non-subjective filmmaking perspective, looking at it from a general audience perspective, it's just not great from a general audience perspective. I think the style could work for DC as long as they were to really shorten it and make the movie just a little more enjoyable. Because it was good, but there were certain parts that were really boring. This is the director's cut, of course, but a lot of these scenes didn't need to make it in. They didn't need to have that Aquaman shirtless scene. They didn't need to have that extended Steppenwolf battle. They didn't even need to have the Nightcrawler. The Nightcrawler really made me angry when I saw it because I remembered it. It was awful. And I think the style could work for DC as long as they adapted it. And they don't need to even make it funny because that works for Marvel and not DC. And yeah, but now we're getting off topic. Let's talk about this movie from the history of its filmmaking to its characters, its action, and why it's not perfect. So with that out of the way, I'm Justin from my studios, and let's get into why Zack Snyder's Justice League is a superior cut. Released in 2017 by Warner Brothers Pictures, Justice League was a difficult production. Its script underwent major changes before and during production between 2016 and 2017. In May 2017, Zack Snyder stepped down during post-production following the death of his daughter, Autumn Snyder, and Joss Whedon was hired to finish the film. Completing it as an uncredited director, Whedon oversaw reshoots and overall changes incorporated a lighter tone, more humor while reducing the runtime, and significantly with accordance with the mandate at Warner Brothers. They basically took the film and just made it brighter. Literally all they did. They just took the film and they made the film brighter. It's crazy. And this cut was awful. I watched it when it came out. I thought it was okay, mid. Yeah. And yeah, this cut was polarized by critics and it was underperformed at the box office. This resulted in Warner Brothers opting to prioritize future films around individual characters like they should have at the beginning, with less regard for consistency and continuity within the wider shared universe. They also got rid of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. They really tried to recast him. And they've had that mess up until recently with Black Adam, where they finally brought at least Henry Cavill into the main continuity. But moving on, many people expressed interest in Snyder's version of the film, which often is referred to the Snyder Cut, right? Joss Whedon Cut, Snyder Cut. And although many industry insiders reported its release was unlikely, because it was moving ahead with its new universe, in May of February 2020, Zack Snyder announced it would be released as Justice League, the Snyder Cut, and it would be an HBO Max original film. Snyder Cut was released on March 18th, 2021, in the United States on HBO Max. It became the fourth highest streamed film on the platform that year. The film was widely considered superior to the 2017 theatrical release, receiving praise for its direction, visual style, action sequences, performances, improved characterizations, and balance of emotion and humor. Although it's a 242-minute runtime, everyone criticized it for being way too long. And yes, I have to agree with this. While some extra scenes like Steppenwolf versus the Amazons digging up Superman and the extended fight at at the end of the movie, along with Superman's black suit and some redesigns by Steppenwolf and just like some extended scenes. It was all welcome. I really loved how they extended the scenes, but this really feels like a director's cut. I feel like there were so many extra scenes here, like Aquaman at the water. That's like the one scene I point to when I say the scene is way too extra. It did not need to be in the movie. And I felt like some of these extra scenes in the shots could have been cut. Good example is Steppenwolf looking at this field. That really didn't need to be here. And, like, I feel like I was shocked at how many these shots I didn't feel like were supposed to be in there. And of course, it's a director's cut, but I kind of want to take a look at each scene. And, like, I want to really talk about why this is a director's cut. But, like, really, they couldn't cut this movie down by 3 hours and 10 minutes. If it was cut a lot of extra scenes, they could have done that. And although I think this movie could have worked as a 2.5 hour movie, I think a 3 hour movie is a good length. I like the Batman reign. That movie, a lot of scenes I'm pretty sure were cut from that movie. The movie was still 3 hours long. The next Avatar Way of the Water, which I'm going to see probably opening night, that's going to come out when it's going to flop. Can't wait for that thing to flop, but it's going to be 3 hours and 10 minutes, which is, I think, the longest theatrical movie I have ever seen. Second is Endgame at like 3 hours and 2 minutes. But yeah, most movies nowadays are about 2 hours and 2 hours and 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's about average for a movie nowadays. I remember when 10 years ago, the average for a movie was like maybe an hour and 40 minutes. 10 years ago. So a lot of the Marvel movies were shorter back then as well. But, like, I like Batman in this movie, and it just makes me feel sad that, like, they couldn't cut this length, because Love and Thunder had the opposite problem. They cut way too much from that film, 2 hours to be exact. And I get if you don't want to cut 2 hours, but no one's going to watch it when it's 3 hours. Better yet, I think 2.5 hours is just a little too little, so I would say give it 3 hours. The story is as follows. After the events of Superman dying, the world mourning, and I'm pretty sure it's only a week after, or maybe a month after, the Mother Boxes are activated because Superman is away, and the Mother Boxes were afraid of Superman and his strength. This causes Batman to find a kid who can run fast, a cyborg who's linked to the Mother Boxes, and an Amazon woman, and revive Superman in order to defeat the incoming threat of Darkseid and Steppenwolf, who want to rule the world and unite the Mother Boxes for the anti-life equation. They've conquered thousands of galaxies, and now they're about to lose to a bunch of humans and an alien. The Shadow of Superman. I love the Shadow of Superman that's cast on the main characters between Batman and Wonder Woman. I love it. I just love Batman in this movie. I never really liked Zack Snyder's rendition of Batman. It ruined the ideals of the character for me by allowing him to kill. Like, Batman should not kill. I'm gonna say this right now. That's just not my thing. I don't like how they let Batman kill. It's so stupid. Batman should not be allowed to kill. I think you can make an exception for aliens, but, like, beside that, I don't like the way Batman just kills people. I'm pretty sure he stopped killing people after v Superman. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he did. But you kind of ruined it, and I really did enjoy Batman in this movie, besides that one little tidbit. And we'll get into more of that in the character section, but for now, I love the Shadow of Superman casts over them, and it really makes me feel sad and, like, feel the ramifications of his death. Especially at the end where he kind of buys the farmhouse. That little scene, although it could have been cut, adds to the film so much. And then I couldn't help but smile at the end. That's like the perfect ending. Even though it was 10 o'clock at night and I wanted to sleep, it's now 5:30 in the morning and I'm recording this. I think it exceeds a small amount of moments, and I think that it's important to have a smaller moments like Aquaman up against the ocean. Still stupid. But I also really think you don't need to have all these over-the-top crazy sequences. I think you could have had, like, nearly cut an hour of this movie by removing some of that stupid stuff. But the story feels very, very human. It's about gods and monsters connecting and becoming human. It's about people destroying the odds and coming together to do something great. It's about a story of a man who's broken and needs people to connect with the humanity inside of him. Think about Wonder Woman and Batman. It's about a kid who wants some friends and wants to do some good and help his dad. It's about a cyborg who doesn't feel human anymore and wants to redeem himself and wants to forgive his father. And at its best, it's an alien who wants to reconnect with his human roots and become a real symbol for the world. I love some of the connecting plots, and we'll get into that soon. But I think I need to speak about this now. I love Cyborg. Cyborg's death, or Cyborg's father's death, I think really added to the character. To kill off the character, he has no connection to humanity except for the Justice League anymore. And I think this is perfect. Cyborg is now like more of a superhero. He has no connections to humanity anymore. And now he's going to use his abilities. It isn't like a great power, great responsibility thing like Spider-Man. It's more of a, I have an obligation to do this, and yes, I'm going to do this. It's just the good of humanity in him. If I had to think of a movie, it would be probably The Amazing Spider-Man 2's ending that more correlates with this. But I can see you correlating it to, like, I don't know, Batman's parents' death. But I absolutely loved the father's death. And the father's death had meaning rather than just him dying for the sake of dying, right? He had meaning. But on a separate note, I absolutely despise Wonder Woman in this movie. I like how it unfortunately links to Wonder Woman 1984 and the trauma in that movie. And I liked how she's able to kind of link with Cyborg. But she kind of felt like a plot device here. She's meant to assemble the team and hold off Steppenwolf. That's it. She doesn't have him talk with Superman. She doesn't really bring Batman back from the light. That would have been cool if she were to bring Batman back from the light, maybe. That would have been. I'm pretty sure there's a romance brewing between Batman and Wonder Woman. I don't know if it's. I don't know if I don't know. I'm extremely blind when it comes to that type of stuff. So like, I don't know. I kind of felt it though. If that makes perfect sense. I feel like that's where the movies were going. I feel like if I remember correctly, they were gonna make Superman's kid Batman at the end of this trilogy. A bunch of storyboards came out. I'm not leaking actually on purpose, but just kind of wondering how it would have worked. But I think this movie could have handled that better, and I think it handled it better than the Avengers movie because Hawkeye and Black Widow really didn't do anything in that movie. And you have Batman, and yeah, they did everything here. Batman linked the team, Cyborg linked the mother boxes, the Flash turned back time, Superman saved the day, and Wonder Woman protected Cyborg. Aquaman tried to protect the mother boxes, in saving them in the, pretty sure it's the first fight of the second fight scene of the film, pretty sure. And Hawkeye does absolutely nothing in the Avengers, just, oh my god, check the perimeter. Black Widow can make a case for Black Widow because she kind of calms down the Hulk, but that's about it. She's still a plot device. Now, this movie is extremely boring and calm and methodical, which is exactly why I think it won't work. If you had to cut, like, a certain part of this movie, what would that part I'd say you cut? I'd say you cut a lot of parts of 1, 2, and 3. Those cuts, those 3 parts, I think, could have really been cut by almost 25%, maybe even 50%, and it still would have been fun to watch. That's where most of the meat of the film could have been cut. Also, I think some of it could have been cut in 3, and I think some of 6 could have been cut as well. So, like, yeah, you could have, that's where you go to cut, like, the whole hour of the film, mainly, is would be 3 parts, 1, 2, 3. The 3 parts together are, like, an hour and a half. So, you could have cut, like, half of that. But parts 1, 2, and 3 are very boring. It's a struggle to get past them. I was tired, like I am right now, and yeah. I am also wondering, how did Superman find Bruce Wayne? When did he find out Bruce Wayne was Batman? I know it's probably just me. I don't remember him finding out. Like, I watched this movie back when it came out, when I watched the, pretty sure I watched the extras, because the new cut that came out back in, like, 2021. I watched it. It was the ultimate cut. Overall, the story is amazing, and it's definitely worth watching. But I think it's story proposed and evolved by its characters that really elevates this movie. A good movie can be good without great characters, but great characters can really elevate a movie to new heights. Take Black Adam, for example. It has a lot of issues, but a solid story, and the characters are flat out amazing, especially Dr. Fate. Zack Snyder's Justice League really takes the characters that were in the original and spins them around as a fourth dimension to them. it really makes you feel for these characters and like want to love them, want to see them succeed. Like even the character designs are amazing in this movie, although a little overcomplicated. They're perfect, right? But you really feel for these characters. I think their designs also really talk about who they are and everything. Batman's a little over armored. We're not too Wonder Woman just seems like she has Amazonian warm armor. Cyborg she feels uncanny, way too machine like, with just a little bit of human in there. Superman, I don't want to really get into it. It's basically a whole video I say on its own. And the Flash, well, the Flash is a suit that's built scientifically for his powers. So yeah, but it takes characters like Cyborg, Batman, Wonder Woman, and makes them awesome. Before this movie, I really didn't care for the Flash very much, but after this movie, I'm going to see the Flash movie on day one, and maybe they're making a Flash sequel too, so I'm going to see that movie day one as well. But first, let's talk about Batman. Batman is one of the best executed characters in this film, and I think it's one of my favorite versions of him, period. Never been a big fan of the Dark Knight films. I always thought Batman was kind of stupid in those three films. The best one is the Dark Knight, obviously. But they're also not amazing. I don't know why people praise those movies the way they do. Batman is one of the best executed people in this film. He's feeling guilty by not saving Superman because he finally realizes that Superman is a symbol rather than a destruction to mankind. And yeah, the atmosphere of this movie is very different from Batman v Superman. You really feel the loss of Superman on everyone. And this is the part of Justice League that I really meant earlier, because I want to say that I love the shadow of Superman. It causes him on the League. There's Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's plot here is not amazing, but very decent. She's still not grappling to death with her loved ones in World War II, and is trying to open up to people. I think this is actually better than what they did in Wonder Woman 1984, which, by the way, is a terrible movie. I absolutely hate it, and I wish the movie never happened. But I have to give respect to the movie in that regard. It really helped and actually kind of elevated this movie a little bit. But I don't think she's perfect. I kind of feel like she didn't do enough in this film, and I said earlier, every member has a purpose except for Wonder Woman. She didn't really have a purpose. She just kind of felt she was just there to protect Cyborg. And I think she does this very well, but she's just not a good character. I feel like they definitely could have given her more development. I understand why they didn't, though. They need to prioritize different characters. I think they needed to prioritize the other three. Like they need that. I feel like Batman really didn't need to be prioritized, but it wasn't really. It was Cyborg and Flash that were prioritized. And I think it's okay to introduce a few new characters in the team-up film. This is how you should have made a solo film for each of these characters. You should have had a Batman solo film. Superman already had one. Wonder Woman already had one. And I would have done one for Aquaman as well before. Then I would have done development for. After I made those three films, I would have made the Superman sequel, Batman v Superman, or Superman v Batman. And then I would have done a Justice League movie finally. Because you can introduce Cyborg into Flash. Because Cyborg's story requires him to kind of be introduced in this film. The Flash, you could have done an extra film for. I think it fits into like his style and everything. But it would have had to been him. It would have had to been him versus like a small time threat, just due to the fact that he's so inexperienced. But Cyborg is my second favorite character in this movie. I feel like you feel the depth among the characters in the League. I kind of want a Cyborg movie now because they simply pulled it off so well. And then there's the Flash. I don't know why I love the Flash, but the Flash is just simply beautiful. I love how they took a character and made him super insecure with all the power, and he pulled off one of the best character moments in the entire superhero genre. And I get it, he hasn't had much development yet, and he's not as good looking, where I put good looking, as the other members of the League. I feel like he's going to be an amazing character once the Flash movie comes out and its inevitable sequel comes out. But he's also key to the future of DC, so you kind of have to develop him more. Superman is a little forgettable in this movie. I like how he doesn't really feel human, and I like how he doesn't appear until the very end of the movie, and he's not in them for most of the movie. For what I like about him, and I can't wait for him to come back to face Black Adam. But like supporting characters are where I legitimately have a problem with this movie. I think supporting characters are the worst part of this movie, because this movie is not bad at all. I barely have any complaints. Honestly, I have barely any complaints about this movie. I think it's nearly perfect, but the supporting characters are really where I have a problem, and I really start to think, oh my god, this is awful. This is terrible. Get out of my life. So, yeah, let's start talking about the supporting characters. But, like, first character is Lois Lane. Lois Lane, she's just a plot device. It's not like Wonder Woman where you can make an argument that she has a little bit of development. Lois Lane is just a supporting character. There's always been a plot. She's just a plot device. A command to get Superman back. Martha, I also think, is an okay character. I like how she's kind of lonely. But the excuse for one-dimensional characters is so stupid. The only character that I feel that got the message about making a good character is Cyborg's dad. He grapples with the loss of his loved ones much like the other characters in this movie. But he's actually useful, right? And isn't just there for his plot device. He's there to give Cyborg through this. He's there to inspire the League. He's there to give him a final hope. He's even there just to guide Cyborg. It's perfect. Like, he's really meant to reconcile into what it's meant to be a hero. And I think the actor has multiple fascinating moments in this movie that really, I think, are overlooked by most fans of DC. The DCU. It's called the DCU now. The Detective Comics universe. I mean, I am so used to saying DCEU. It kind of rolls off the tongue. MCU, DCU, DCU. Ugh, I hate saying that. I purposely saved Aquaman for last, though, because we have to put something into perspective. This was supposed to come out before the remastered cut, back in 2017. So keeping that time period in mind, Aquaman would have made no sense. Because without the context of the Aquaman movie, which, by the way, I like that movie a lot. In fact, I'm thinking about either doing that or Black Adam in like a few weeks. So let's see what I do by then. But yeah, like the video if you want a Black Adam review. Comment if you want a Black Adam review or an Aquaman review. Because I could do either one. You would never know these characters or their influence, like Willem Dafoe's character or Amanda Heard. My dog stepped on a bee. I know, right? I know, Amanda Heard is the best actor. When a dog fell on a bee, I just cried. But like, you don't even know what the characters in Atlantis. This kind of ruins the immersion to the universe for me. I feel like you needed to really set up these characters before they made this movie. And if they had done an Aquaman movie, just released just a movie 2 years later, they really could have made this movie something else, I think. Maybe I would feel a connection to these characters, and I don't really feel a connection to Aquaman or even now with The Flash, even though I love The Flash. But even worse, The Flash movie has an excuse, right? And that movie's been in development hell for the last 10 years. I remember hearing about that movie in like 2012. So yeah, but the Aquaman movie has no excuse. They could have waited 3 more years to put out a Justice League movie. Now everyone knows this, but the main problem with the Detective Comics universe is that they don't want to set up anything. They just want to rush it out. And they thought, oh, Marvel is successful. We'll make billions of dollars too. No, it's not that simple. You have to set up the universe and you have to really feel a connection to these characters over the course of 10 years. It took it took Marvel a while to be successful. It took them a while to get on their feet. I think a quarter or maybe even half of Phase 1 was not all good. Iron Man was good. Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk's trash. Thor mid. The Avengers, Captain America: The First Avenger is really good. And The Avengers, which I'm doing next week, is so mid. The Avengers is like such a mediocre film. And I think Age of Ultron is so much better. But like, DC has so many more memorable characters. I think just Marvel beat them to the punch. And even if the story is solid and the characters are amazing, a director can really make or break a film. Zack Snyder, as a director, is very unique. You can really feel his style bleeding throughout this film, from Superman shot right here to even this next shot. You really feel a style bleed through the characters, even the atmosphere of this film. You can really feel Zack Snyder's touch, and just his way with characters. Even the VFX were amazing. You can tell Zack Snyder really cared about the project and all of its doing and everything just about it. And you really feel his emotion when making this film. And I do feel bad for the guy. His daughter died. I would have left the film too. But like, it still sucks what they did to him. They cut Zack Snyder out of the film. And it's pretty funny too, because they delayed the film by like 6 months and reshot some stuff. They made it just like Justice League. Now my question is, how was the original Zack Snyder Justice League theatrical cut? This is the director's cut. Was the theatrical cut would being good? Because he needed to cut a lot of the film. He needed to cut like 2 hours. So my question is, like, just how would have they took film and made it into it probably would have been like 2 hours and 50 minutes, 3 hours. Yeah, I was excited for Justice League. They were already made. They already had a release date for the sequel actually, when the original came out, which I found really funny. They literally had a release date set for the sequel. Like, this movie was meant to tease it part two, and you really feel that. But from shots from like Superman rising to the whole group together, Snyder's shots refuse to disappoint and always deliver on his promises. You can really tell that he put his soul and heart into this project beyond just making a story. He really wanted to tell a story through the shots, and even if you don't enjoy this movie, you have to give him props. He really did tell a story through each camera angle, and although some shots weren't necessarily like Aquaman in the ocean, I think that's what the fourth time I mentioned it, most have purpose and really feel like they belong in this section and the whole movie together. Every single shot has purpose, and for the most part, I really think it makes you feel like you're watching a complete and finished product, which is something I can't say for Marvel due to the fact that they prefer efficiency over cinematography. The only good stylistic Marvel movie might be Eternals. That movie is really good stylistically. And it's really sad because I think they could do a good job if they were to really take time. A good example is Eternals. That movie is beautiful, but this is how you direct a movie. This is how you put your soul into a movie. With Zack Snyder's Justice League, this is how you this is how you make a product, a finished product, look absolutely beautiful. And yeah, no exceptions at all. But like, but it's not perfect. This movie is not perfect at all. So let's talk about it. This next part of this video is not on my script, but I kind of really want to talk about it. The costume designs in this movie suck so bad. I'll talk about this more in a scripted section, but I want a little tangent for a second. I absolutely despise the character designs in this section. And I think this shot right here is a really good example of why this costumes suck. First, Wonder Woman probably is one of the simpler costumes in this movie, and I absolutely love it. It shows her armor, like you can see each detail on each piece of armor. It's really metallic and warlike. Aquaman might have one of the worst designs I have ever seen. His design in the Aquaman movie is almost perfect. I absolutely adore that design. But this design sucks. It's way too modern for my liking. I don't know why you have to make each suit from a superhero modern and militarized. Like, why can't you make a suit not be militarized? Superman looks absolutely stunning. I wish the white was lighter. But like, besides that, this suit is nearly perfect in almost every single way. Batman is where I have a problem. I think the suit is too detailed. Batman is one of the only characters I think you should give a pass for militarization. That's literally the purpose of a suit. And I think you could pull this off well. But like, too much detail in that suit. I am so sorry. I think a good way to pull off details like Batman Arkham Knight. Not specifically his new suit, but the original post-Arkham City suit. That suit is so much detail, but it's a good amount of detail, not too much detail. I also really don't like the goggles. I get why he has them, but I don't think they look very nice. The Flash, it's a little too militarized to be the Flash. I love his new design, and although I don't like the Flash show, I'm so glad it's ending. I can admit that the new suit he got last season is beautiful. It's so stunning. Imagine that suit with a higher budget; it would be so beautiful. Oh my god. And his new suit in the Flash still doesn't look amazing. That VFX shot we got in the trailer, I think it isn't. I don't think it's finished. I think that's why it looks so ugly. But like, it's still really excited to see that suit in the film. And finally, Cyborg, way too detailed, but he does feel like more like a machine, which I can be grateful for. But we're kind of moving on from these points. Although I've been praising Zack Snyder's Justice League, I really want to just break down this movie. So we're gonna go to some of his major flaws. Number one. Some of the designs in this movie are so stupid, like I just mentioned. The Flash, Superman, and Wonder Woman have a great design, but Batman is just over-designed. Cyborg is just a mess. So is Aquaman, he's just a mess. It looks so cool, but there's way too much detail during the focus on, right? During part one, and I think it's Marvel. I think Marvel's been mastering this lately with Spider-Man suit in Endgame. Or Spider-Man suit in No Way Home, Iron Man suit in Endgame, Shuri suit in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. These suits are really either simplified or detailed in a really good way. But another point, everything I've watched recently has had practical effects. The Batman, even Spider-Man No Way Home, certain scenes had practical effects in that movie, and I am hooked on practical effects rather than CGI. In the long run, it may take longer to make, but it has a more stylistic approach using practical effects. just shine. And meanwhile, Zack Snyder, like, you can't really blame him, but the final act has relied way too much on CGI. I think you didn't need to have the Batmobile in there. There's so much extra stuff you just didn't need to have. And I understand you didn't want to do practical effects like Superman and Steppenwolf, but like there are some things like the tunnel scene that could have been done with practical effects rather than CGI. If you didn't have a giant crawler, and speaking about that crawler, it is so unnecessary. You can tell it was in there to make toys. And I think you could have reworked the scene to make sure the crawler was not there. But I'm pretty sure they just did it for merchandise because they even made a Lego set out of it just to throw that out there. I remember seeing that Lego set at stores back when the movie came out. And I just found that stupid that they blatantly added it for merchandise. Even Marvel tries to hide the fact that they gave 3 suits of Spider-Man a film. They even gave him a garbage stealth costume. Oh my god, I hate that costume so much. And I understand you have to earn money off a film rather than just making box office, but make it a little less obvious, right? I also said earlier that Wonder Woman has no purpose other than just being there in the hitch of the moment and to recruit Victor. Looking past this movie's flaws, you can really see that this is a period cut, but that doesn't really excuse its flaws in the first place. But like, another flaw that I want to give it is that another flaw that I really want to give it is that Darkseid I don't think does enough in this film. And the problem is if Darkseid knew there was the anti-life equation here, oh my god, he would have ran. He would have been. You ever heard that thing? I'm the predator. You ever said a song like I'm the predator? He would have just ran there and kicked all their butts. I also don't like how they have to make Superman evil again. I haven't seen The Boys, but I've heard about it. Homelander, Superman evil. Injustice is one of the best fighting video games ever. I played both those recently. Superman being evil. I'm so sick of it. Like, why can Superman just not, like, I think if you really can't do this in the movies, but I would love an animated All-Star Superman movie. Another one. Like, I actually haven't seen the original. Maybe I'll watch the original. And to review that, but like, there's no need to make an evil Superman in this movie. Why do that? Why? Why make evil Superman again? And better yet, why would Superman turn evil? I don't understand. So, little plot here. Darkseid takes over the Earth, gets the antimatter life equation, kills Lois, and then Superman teams up with Darkseid? Really? That's how you're going to play it? No. No, that's not how you're going to play it. Maybe he kills Lois when he thinks she's Darkseid or something. I don't know. But I still would have blamed Darkseid. Like, you can't just... No, it's so stupid. Or maybe I think maybe what they meant was, like, Lois died, or when Lois is gone, Superman will lose some of his humanity. Maybe that's what they meant. Maybe it was symbolic rather than just literal. But, yeah. I think you definitely could have... I also like the fight scenes, but I think there's too little of them. For a 4-hour movie, there's 1, 2, there's 3 fight scenes. Or maybe 4. I'm forgetting. Or 4 fight scenes if you count Superman, yeah. But so basically 1 fight scene an hour in this movie. I get it, it's more methodical. Why didn't you put in a fight scene with, like... Why didn't you put a fight scene in with, like... I don't know, let's see. You could have put in an extra fight scene against the Parademons and the Justice League. To be fair, though, if you really are giving it this... that's really not a fair complaint, though, because every fight scene in this movie is brutally long, except Wonder Woman. But the Nightcrawler fight is a solid 15 minutes, I'm pretty sure. And that final battle is almost the entirety of part 6, which is like a whole hour. So, yeah, like about almost 1/4 of this film is a fight scene, but it's still. I would rather them be shorter, but like I would rather them all be about 5 minutes, 10 minutes long, but 5 or 6 shoved throughout the film rather than just one big fight scene at the end. And I get it, each film's gonna end with a big thing. No, it doesn't, by the way. But you could have definitely not had to do that. But I think I have to praise the movie for a second. I love the way this movie ends. It ends with like them just looking over a sunrise with hope as the Justice League is finally formed. And I think for that was an awesome scene. And I absolutely adored that scene through and through. It was almost perfect. I loved every single second of it. And I think this is the direction you need to go for DC. Rather than being completely like Marvel, they need to be stylistic, and they need to make a different approach. They need to, each director do their own thing. They need to choose stylistic directors that can really take a story and elevate it, kind of like with the Flash's VFX. And I really, really hope that James Gunn give the directors the freedom that they want. Not everything got to be funny, but it's good to blend a little bit of humor and a little bit of action, which I think this movie did perfectly as well. Even in the negative section, I can't stop praising this movie simply because I love this movie with every fiber. Sounds kind of cringy, but this movie is amazing. I truly think this movie is art. And not in a bad way, like it's art. No, I mean, it is kind of a bad way because it's not good for general audiences. But at the end of the day, this movie is still art. It's an art form rather than a movie. And I think that's so. Let's answer the question from the beginning. Do Snyder fans overreact? Yes, I think the Snyder fans are actually really annoying. Like they started bombing James Gunn. I think DC fans in general are super annoying. They're literally protesting about everything. Legends of Tomorrow was canceled. They all protested on Twitter, and I think James Gunn put the most gangster response ever. He went, "Shut up." He literally went, "Shut up" to the guy in the car. Not literally, but you know what I mean. In essence, he said that. It was awesome. The man's kind of gangster. And like Snyderverse fans, they're constantly berating. They berated for years and years and years, and it worked, which is the sad part. It should not have worked. Now, Henry Cavill is back. I'm actually happy about that. I don't necessarily want Ben Affleck. I would rather them. I don't know why can't you? They're going to recast the Flash. Why can't you recast Batman too? And I'm pretty sure Fisher won't come back either. He was really hurt by the old executives. I don't know if Cyborg will come back. And I feel like you really can't recast half the main league. So I would try to get Fisher back. If Fisher doesn't want to come back, I would just recast him again. But like, I kind of don't like I always kind of have to recast half the league. I don't like that. But I really hope Fisher can come back. I like the performance of Cyborg in this movie. Affleck has a mid performance. I don't like his voice. I'm gonna say that right now. Batman's voice in this movie is trash. And yeah, but Snyderverse fans, I think you need to chill out and just be happy about what you got. You got Henry Cavill, James Gunn, the CEO, or not CEO, what is it, CFO, something like that. The leader, basically, like Kevin Feige. Which I'm shocked that James Gunn accepted it. It must have been a nice payday if he wanted to accept it. I imagine he's paying like, I imagine something like the price of making a movie every 6 months for him to do that. And it might only allow just like one movie every 2 years. It's a multi-million-dollar payday. Multi-million-dollar payday spread over the course of like 2 years. It's like $1 million payday basically, which is a lot of money. But he probably earned more, I bet. But yeah, overall, I think this movie is a 100% the superior cut. It does everything better, including costume design. I think this movie hits it out of the park. It's definitely one of the best DC movie in terms of critically. And I think that the Zack Snyder cut is definitely a more enjoyable film. And I really hope that James Gunn can do stuff like do Black Adam and make it really more fun. I rewatched it the other day and I already want to rewatch it again. That movie is how you engage with an audience. Overall, this movie is very good and for critical perspective, and I think with a few tweaks it could turn overall. And we just reworking a few things. This could work as a standard for DC films. If you mix it with some stuff like Black Adam, Marvel really plays it by the book. You can just switch it out to something really special with each movie to make it feel like an event to really break down Marvel. And I think DC is almost there, which is crazy that they're already there. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. I'm finishing filming this 6:10 in the morning. I have school for 7 hours in less than an hour. I had to leave, so pray for me. I'm going to be making an update video tomorrow. I'm planning on doing a lot of stuff. I'm planning on streaming out. I'm planning on either streaming Miles Morales, Arkham City, or Arkham Knight. Arkham City or Arkham Origins on December 23rd, 4th, and 5th. Just for fun. If we do Miles Morales, it'll be a Nuzlocke. If we do, I think I'll do a Nuzlocke for all. I think I'll do a Nuzlocke for whatever one wins. I'm gonna be doing a community post tomorrow, asking which one you guys want me to do. I'm also launching a video talking about December because I'm probably gonna be streaming I might be streaming the Game of the Year awards, depending on if I can get a dentist appointment for the next day, because there's no way I'm going to be recording a stream till 12:30, and then be going to bed and waking up 5 in the morning like I have to. But yeah, if you like this video, like and subscribe. Check out my Amazing Spider-Man review. Next week will probably be either Black Adam or an Avengers video. Black Adam is amazing, and Avengers is mid. Yeah, so this video was my longest video ever. It was only beaten out by my stream, which is only 20 minutes longer, may I add. But yeah, I'm just from my studios. I tried to make this video really, really long because I really wanted to make it for my first hour-long video, but it's really hard to write an hour-long script. Like, the script took 4 days to write, and I was highly motivated to make the script. Motivation is super important. My Amazing Spider-Man video, I wanted to make that video, but I wasn't really motivated to write the script. It still turns out amazing, but the script is like, it took me almost 2 weeks to write that. It was almost a week and a half to write that script. Well, this video, I did it in 4 days. And then I also spent, and then I lost motivation for like 3 days and didn't do anything, which is why the video took so long to come out. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Next video should be out really, really early next week. I'm actually going to begin working on that as soon as I get back. I'm Justin from my studios, and stay electric.